In late 2023, Dave Grohl revealed his 30-year trauma for the first time after starting therapy sessions. Trauma specialist Dr. Rebecca Martinez uncovered Dave's repressed memory about Kurt. In March 1994, he had found Kurt crying at Robert Lang Studios, and Kurt had opened up to him about family problems, drug addiction, and suicidal thoughts. Dave says, "I still blame myself for not being able to help Kurt that night." This confession is one of the most painful testimonies from Nirvana's final days. But Dave's therapy breakthrough would reveal that the details he remembered about that night were just the beginning. Dave Grohl was going through a difficult period in his personal life in 2023. Foo Fighters' intense touring schedule, family life, and pressures in the music industry had mentally exhausted him. Close friends began noticing that Dave's alcohol consumption was increasing and he was suffering from nighttime insomnia. Dave's situation during that period was truly critical. Foo Fighters' 2023 touring schedule was particularly demanding. An 18-month world tour, studio recordings, promotional work, Dave's schedule had become overwhelming. Every night was a different city, a different stage, a different hotel room. Foo Fighters tour manager Mike Stevens noticed Dave's behavioral changes. Dave was normally an energetic and social person, but in 2023, he had become withdrawn, irritable, distant. The shows were professional, but the backstage mood was dark. Pressure was also mounting in his family life. His wife, Jordan Blum, and 3 daughters were starting to complain about Dave being constantly on the road. "I want to be a father figure, but I'm constantly absent," Dave says. Even during the rare times he was home, he mentally felt absent. Dave's eldest daughter, Violet, began noticing Dave's struggles. Dad was acting different. Hugs were shorter, conversations superficial. It was as if he was physically present, but emotionally distant. Dave's sleepless nights had become routine. He would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating and screaming. Kurt was constantly in his nightmares, sometimes crying Kurt, sometimes Kurt with a gun, sometimes Kurt asking him for help. Jordan Blum grasped the seriousness of the situation and convinced Dave to seek professional help. Dave would wake up at night talking about Kurt. He had nightmares and constantly said, "I could have saved him," she explained. Jordan noticed alarming changes in Dave's behavior patterns. He would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating and crying. He constantly repeated Kurt's name. "I was very worried." Dave's alcohol consumption was gradually increasing. Initially a coping mechanism, it soon posed a risk of dependence. Friends and family members realized intervention was necessary. Dave initially opposed the idea of therapy. "I had never tried therapy. I thought it was for weak people. But I'm desperate. I'm willing to try everything." Jordan was persistent in encouraging therapy. "Dave, our daughters need a healthy father. Professional help isn't shameful. It's responsibility." Dr. Rebecca Martinez was a trauma specialist with 20 years of experience. Dr. Martinez, who had special experience working with musicians, thought Dave's case was routine performer stress when she took it on. Dr. Martinez had an impressive resume. USC Psychology, PhD, specialization in PTSD and addiction recovery. Her experience working with musicians was extensive, many high-profile cases. Dr. Martinez describes her first impressions. Dave was very defensive initially. He only talked about work stress, but as the sessions progressed, deeper layers of trauma began to emerge. The first therapy appointment was uncomfortable for Dave. "I had never tried therapy before. I thought it was for weak people, but I'm desperate. I'm willing to try everything." In the first 3 therapy sessions, Dave only talked about current life pressures. Foo Fighters' demanding schedule, family responsibilities, industry expectations. But Dr. Martinez noticed gaps in Dave's speech patterns. Dr. Martinez made professional observations. Dave would deflect when approaching specific topics, especially when the Nirvana period was mentioned. There was immediate topic change. In the 4th session, Dr. Martinez used a specific technique. I asked Dave about his most emotional memories throughout his musical journey. That's when he mentioned the Nirvana period, but immediately changed the subject. Dave experienced a slight breakthrough in the 4th session. Dr. Martinez was patient but persistent. Questions were gentle but probing. I gradually began to become comfortable with sharing. The fifth session was a critical breakthrough. Dr. Martinez used guided meditation technique to bring Dave to a relaxed state. In this state, Dave experienced unexpected memory recall. Suddenly, I was back in 1994, Dave says. I'm at Robert Lang's studios, midnight. I found Kurt and Dave's voice breaks. That scene came exactly before my eyes. Dr. Martinez describes that moment. Dave's entire body language changed. 30 years of suppressed trauma suddenly surfaced, very intense emotional release. Dave began remembering his recovered memory in detail. It was late March 1994. Nirvana was completing promotional work for In Utero. The atmosphere within the group had become tense. Kurt had been acting strange for weeks, Dave remembers, withdrawn, paranoid, emotional outbursts. We all noticed but didn't know how to handle it. Kurt's behavioral changes were of alarming proportions. He was late to studio sessions, sometimes didn't come at all. When he did come, he was tearful and irritable. He wasn't as enthusiastic about making music as he used to be. Private discussions about Kurt's condition had begun among band members. Chris Novoselic was particularly worried. Kurt was acting distant and unpredictable. Performance quality was suffering. Dave noticed dramatic changes in Kurt's appearance in March 1994. Weight loss, pale complexion, dark circles under eyes. Health was clearly deteriorating. On that specific night, Dave came to the studio late to review drum recordings. The building was almost empty. Only a security guard was there. Dave heard a strange sound as he approached the studio. Dave remembers that approach in detail. The studio complex was quiet, almost eerie. My footsteps echoed in the corridors. The unexpected sound was alarming. At first, I thought the crying sound was music. But as I got closer, I realized someone was sobbing. Very intense, heartbreaking crying. Dave hesitated at the studio's outer door. Was there really someone inside? The security guard had said no one else had come. Maybe a CD player was left on and music was playing. Dave's hesitation was understandable. I didn't want to intrude on someone's private moment. The concern was overpowering curiosity. But as the sounds continued, Dave realized this was a real human voice. Deep, traumatic crying. Dave gently opened the door and looked inside. Dave's initial observation was shocking. The studio was dimly lit. Equipment silhouettes created eerie shadows. The figure in the corner was barely visible. Dave was shocked when he opened the studio door. Kurt was sitting in a collapsed position in the corner, crying uncontrollably. When Kurt saw Dave, he panicked. Kurt immediately tried to wipe away his tears. "Nothing's wrong, I'm just tired," he said. But it was clear that something much deeper was happening. Dave can never forget that moment. Kurt's eyes were completely red. His face was swollen from crying. His hands were shaking. I had never seen such raw pain. Kurt's physical appearance was shocking. Emaciated, pale, sunken eyes. His clothes were disheveled and dirty. He looked like he hadn't slept for days. Dave's detailed memory was this. Kurt's posture was defeated, shoulders slumped, head in his hands. Seeing him in such a vulnerable state was heartbreaking. Kurt was initially defensive. "Dave, please leave me alone. I'm fine." But Dave decided to stay. "Brother, talk to me. What's going on?" Dave's approach strategy was careful and gentle. He didn't want to corner Kurt. Instead, he sat in a nearby chair and maintained a quiet presence. Gradually, Dave's persistent approach broke down Kurt's emotional walls. Kurt gradually began to open up. "Everything is falling apart, Dave. I can't handle this anymore." Kurt first talked about family problems. His relationship with Courtney had become extremely toxic. "She controls everything. My music, my friends, my life. I feel trapped." Dave was deeply disturbed by Kurt's words. Kurt's voice was completely defeated. No hope, no fighting spirit left. It looked very scary. Kurt shared relationship details. "Courtney is constantly suspicious following me. She monitors my phone calls, manipulates my friends. It's like living in prison." Kurt continued his confession. Drug addiction was out of control. "I'm using just to survive each day. Without heroin, the pain is unbearable. But with it, I'm losing myself." The most alarming part was Kurt's self-harm references. Sometimes I think everyone would be better off without me. Francis would be better without a father than with a messed-up father. Dave panicked when he heard those words. Kurt, don't say things like that. You're a great father, a great musician. Things will get better. But Kurt was resistant. Dave, you don't understand. I'm a burden on everyone. My musical success has trapped me. Everyone expects perfection, but I'm falling apart inside. Kurt gave a detailed account of recent suicidal ideation. I constantly think about ending it. A peaceful escape from all this pain and pressure. Dave desperately tried to give reassurance. Kurt, we can get help. Rehabilitation, therapy, whatever you need. The band supports you 100%. Kurt laughed bitterly. I already tried rehabilitation. It doesn't work for me. And the band, you guys would probably be relieved if I disappeared. That's not true, Dave protested. We care about you. I care about you. Please don't give up. The conversation lasted about 40 minutes. Kurt gradually calmed down but maintained emotional distance. Thanks for listening, Dave. But promise me, don't tell anyone about this. Dave reluctantly agreed. I wanted to help Kurt but didn't know how to do it. I felt helpless and scared. Kurt showed strange calmness at the end of the session. I feel a little better now. Thanks, brother. Dave was relieved, but an uneasy feeling remained. Walking away from the studio, something felt final. Kurt's goodbye was too formal, too complete. I should have stayed longer. In the following weeks, Dave closely monitored Kurt. I looked for signs, tried to be supportive, but Kurt remained withdrawn. Dave tried several times to have private conversations with Kurt, but Kurt always changed the subject. He acted as if the studio night had never happened. 2 weeks later, Kurt overdosed in Rome. Dave immediately remembered the studio conversation. I knew it wasn't accidental. Kurt had told me exactly what he was planning. After Kurt's return to Seattle, Dave made desperate attempts to connect. I called several times, went to the house, tried intervention, but Kurt avoided me. On the morning of April 5th, Dave received the terrible news. Kurt was found dead, apparently suicide. Dave's first thought went back to the studio conversation. I failed him. He asked for help that night, and I didn't do enough. This guilt has been destroying me for 30 years. The years following Kurt's death were traumatic for Dave. Survivor guilt was overwhelming. Every interview, every Nirvana mention, every anniversary, all triggered memories of that night. Dr. Martinez began addressing Dave's survivor guilt. Dave, you did what you could. Kurt's decision was ultimately his own. In therapy sessions, Dave gradually realized Kurt's condition was much more complex. Addiction, depression, family problems. I couldn't fix all of that with a single conversation. Dave is learning emotional boundaries and realistic expectations. I was a drummer, not a therapist. Expecting myself to save Kurt was unfair. The recovery process is slow, but steady. Dave is finally talking openly about Kurt's memory. I honor his memory by being honest about struggles. Important discoveries occurred in Dave's therapy process. Working with Dr. Martinez, Dave learned that he wasn't solely responsible for Kurt's death. It was a system failure. His family, friends, the music industry. We all saw the signs, but no one knew how to intervene. Dave now advocates for mental health awareness. If sharing my story helps one person seek help, Kurt's tragedy will gain meaning. Dave's advocacy work continues to expand. He runs active campaigns for mental health awareness in the music industry. Musicians are especially at risk. Pressure, substance abuse, isolation, perfect storm for mental health crisis. Dave's family is supportive in his recovery. Jordan and the children understood the burden I carried. Now, we process things together. Foo Fighters band members are also supportive. They knew I was struggling with Kurt's loss but didn't know the details. Now everything makes sense. Dr. Martinez is proud of Dave's progress. He learned to separate his responsibility from Kurt's tragedy. Healthy healing is happening. Dave shows emotional openness in recent interviews. Kurt was a genius, a tortured soul. I thought I was honoring his memory by ignoring my own pain. That wasn't healthy. Music industry professionals admire Dave's courage. Talking about mental health struggles breaks stigma. Very brave. Dave now practices techniques to cope with grief: meditation, therapy, honest communication with family. Learning tools I wish I had 30 years ago. Dave's public speaking is increasing. He speaks as a keynote speaker at suicide prevention conferences, talks about mental health awareness at high schools and universities. The stories Dave shares in these talks are very effective. Young people connect with Dave's vulnerability and start sharing their own struggles. Music's healing power is real, but can't replace professional help. High school presentations are particularly impactful. Teenagers feel Kurt's story on a personal level. Dave's message becomes a catalyst for hope and action. Dave partnered with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We promote the 988 number at concerts, on social media, in interviews. The message that immediate help is available is crucial. Mental health organizations invite Dave as an ambassador. Using celebrity status for an important cause is meaningful. I'm channeling Kurt's memory for positive impact. Dave launched his recent initiative, Kurt Cobain Mental Health Scholarship Fund. It provides financial support for music therapy students. Supporting the next generation of healers is essential. Dr. Martinez is studying Dave's approach. Celebrity trauma disclosure is a fascinating case for research. When handled properly, enormous public benefit is possible. The Dave Grohl Foundation launched a new mental health initiative: free therapy services for musicians and crew, substance abuse treatment, crisis intervention. I want to create systemic change in the industry. The foundation's first year showed impressive results. 500+ musicians received free therapy access, 50 crisis interventions were successful, 12 rehabilitation programs were funded. Dr. Martinez was impressed by Dave's transformation. The transition from 30 years of suppressed trauma to complete advocacy is remarkable, a powerful example of true healing. Dave's therapy sessions continue, but are now in maintenance mode. We've moved from weekly appointments to monthly. Dave is living a stable and purposeful life now. In recent interviews, Dave gives specific advice to struggling musicians. Tour life can be isolating, substance abuse tempting, fame overwhelming. But help is available. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Dave's final message is powerful and hopeful. If you're struggling, please seek help. Don't suffer in silence like Kurt did. You matter and support is available. Kurt Cobain's legacy continues through stories like Dave's. Honest conversations about mental health save lives. Dave's therapy breakthrough proves that healing is possible even after decades of suppressed trauma. Dave, who found Kurt crying in the studio, now finds peace through sharing the truth. Survivor guilt is gradually being replaced by purposeful advocacy. Kurt's memory is honored through continued support for others struggling with similar demons. Dave's story gives hope. Recovery from trauma is possible. The transition from guilt to healing is achievable. Transforming pain into purpose is real. Kurt's legacy isn't limited to music. It continues through mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and honest conversations about struggle.